So we're going to come over to our seated position here. And just find a comfortable seated posture so you can cross your ankles, or you can go super old-fashioned yogi and sit on your heels. Doesn't matter, whatever works for you. And then what we're going to do is start with some shoulders, and we're going to move into the neck. So you're going to take your arms out like saguaro cactus, and then drop the elbows a little bit, and then pull the elbows back behind you. So you're just trying to find some opening up through the shoulders. There's nothing extreme happening here. You're not trying to get into a particular shape. So keep pulling the elbows back, and then lift your chin a little bit so that the bottom of your chin is roughly parallel to the ground. Drag your elbows down a little bit more now. So the elbows are pulling toward each other as if you're trying to hold a beach ball behind your back, but you're also pulling your elbows down slightly. Take a couple deep breaths, and you may notice that your front ribs are starting to pop out a little bit. They're starting to sort of spread out in the front and reach forward. So pull the front ribs in just a tiny bit. Just pull in right there at the middle of the transverse abdominals there. Okay, so just a big stretch here through the front, noticing where you might be tight. And in the morning, we tend to be really tight right here. And now go ahead, and what we're going to do is take your right elbow under your left elbow. So eagle arms, essentially. You can either bring the backs of the hands together, or if you can get the hands around and touch the palms of the hands together, go for that. Then you're going to drop your arms down. So if your left arm is on top, you're going to drop your hands down to the right-hand side. I'll do each side here. So you're going to come to about a 45-degree angle, maybe it's a 60-degree angle, and then drop the shoulders and drop the elbows, and then drop your left ear toward your left shoulder. So this is an area of the neck that tends to get pretty tight when we're sleeping. So breathe deeply. Gently pull those hands off to the right side as if you're pulling them toward the ground, and drop your left ear toward your left shoulder. You feel some neck stuff going on here. And breathe. All right, come back to the center. Take the arms back out to the sides like saguaro cactus, and then pull the elbows toward each other as if you're holding a beach ball behind your back. And then drag the elbows down a little bit to get the shoulders down your back, and then pull the front ribs in. Big breaths. All right, come back to the center. Now you're going to go left arm under right arm, and so you can get the palms of the hands around. And then once you have your right arm on top, you're going to try to draw your hands down to the left side. Try to get to about a 45 to 60-degree angle there with the forearms. And then once you get some sort of an angle, drop the shoulders, and then drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. All right, and then come on out of that one and release. And now shake out your arms a little bit, shake out your shoulders. We're going to do one more. So you may want to change your position. Comfortable seated position, or you can come into something that kind of looks like a double pigeon. So you may just want to take one foot over. You're going to take your left hand to the ground, take your right arm over, stretch over to your left-hand side, so maybe a little bit of a bend in that left elbow, and then take a moment here. So you're just trying to go for a side stretch, which is really helpful to the shoulders. And then look up toward your top hand so you have a nice neutral curve in your neck. All right, come on up. Let's go for the other side. So right hand to the ground, left arm up. If you happen to have one foot on top of the hip, then or the other thigh, you may want to just kind of switch it up a little bit. Make sure that that foot's changed up. But if you're just crossing at the ankle, you don't need to change unless you want to. So again, stretching to the sides. We're getting that nice side stretch. Really important to get that whole side body to lengthen out, and that is obviously connected to the shoulders and the neck. Just stretch. All right, come on up and we're gonna do this one more time. So change the crossing of your ankles if you'd like. Now you're gonna take your left hand and sit on your left fingers. Take your right arm and bring it over, and your right hand is gonna come to your left ear. Lift up tall and then gently pull your right ear towards your right shoulder. So you're really just trying to bend the top 7 vertebrae of your neck. Try to keep your spine really long so you're sitting up as tall as you can. You can resist a little bit. So as you gently press down with your right hand on your left ear, just a tiny bit, lift your left ear up against your right hand. And you can even lean to the right a little bit. Keep those breaths strong. Big inhales, big exhales. All right, come on out of this. Let's go for the other side. Right fingers underneath the right hip. Sit on them. Take your left arm up. Bring your left hand to your right ear. Sit up tall. Just bend the top 7 vertebrae of your neck. So gently pull that left ear towards your left shoulder. This may be huge. You may not want to go any deeper than this. So breathe, check in, see how the breathing works, see if anything relaxes. You might want to lean a little bit to the left. And you might want to resist your left hand with your right ear and just gently press the right side of your head up into your left hand. But let your breath guide you. Don't force anything. All right, unwind. Now you're going to take the hands, interlace them behind your head. Again, tall spine. You're just going to bend the top 7 vertebrae of your neck. So lift up tall and then pull the chest and chin toward each other. So the chin's going to drop down to the chest and the chest is going to lift up toward the chin. And then you can drop the shoulders and even drop the elbows. So that'll apply a little bit of pressure on the back of your head. And then resist that pressure as you pull the elbows and shoulders down and press the back of the head up into the hands. Keep lifting your chest up toward your chin as well. So again, just the top 7 vertebrae of the neck are bending. Everything else is sitting up super tall. Big breaths. This one is my favorite one. I can hang out here forever. All right, head back up. You're going to slide your hands down a little bit closer to your neck, so really at the base of your skull, at the top of your neck. And then you're going to lift your chin and then press your head back into your hands, and your hands are going to scoop up under your head and lift up, and at the same time pull the elbows down and out. All right, and then release the arms, shake them out a little bit, and let's find a downward dog. Actually, let's do a child's pose first. So you're gonna find your child's pose, press forward into the mat, and press your hips back towards your heels. And just take a moment there and stretch out the back. Okay, now let's go for heart melting pose, and then we'll go for down dog. So you're gonna get your hips over your knees, and then slide your hands forward. And instead of putting your hands flat on the ground, come onto the tips of your fingers. So you're making little tents on the ground. So tips of the fingers on the ground, and then see if you can drop your forehead or your chin to the ground. push into those fingers, walk them back, and then now let's find a downward dog. So spread your fingers out wide, flip your toes over, find your downward dog, walk it out a little bit. Relax your neck. You may want to shake out your head a little bit, nod your head a little bit. All right, look up, inhale, step forward. Exhale, fold. Hang out here for a moment. Grab your elbows, press your top forearm into your bottom forearm, and gently swing from side to side. And take your hands to your hips, squeeze your elbows toward each other, bend your knees. Big inhale, come all the way up to the sky. All right, let's do a couple sun salutations. Take the arms up on the inhale, look up toward the thumbs. Exhale, fold and bend the knees. Inhale, stretch forward and look forward. Exhale, step your left leg back. Drop your back knee. Take the arms up on the inhale. Couple deep breaths here. Drop your shoulders, pull the front belly in, pull the front ribs in. And big exhale. Take the hands down the ground, step back. Lift your left leg toward the sky. 5 breaths. So go for a little bit of alignment here. Roll your inner left thigh toward the sky. Spiral your outer left hip bone down. Flex your toes toward the ground. See if you can get a little bit of a lift in your right hip crease. Relax your neck. And on your next exhale, bring that left knee up into your chest and step it forward. Take your time. Drop your back knee and come on up. Couple breaths here. So do those cactus arms, elbows down, drag your elbows down and pull the arms back. And exhale, take the hands down the ground, lift your back knee up and inhale, step it forward. Inhale, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, let's go for the other side. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your right leg back. Drop your back knee. Take the arms up on the inhale. And big exhale. Take the hands down to the ground, step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. Take 5 breaths here. So square up the hips, roll the inner right thigh toward the sky. See if you can drop your left heel a little bit. Get a little bit of a lift under the armpits. See if you can get a little bit of a lift in your left hip crease. Relax the neck. Gently shake your head out, nod your head. All right, exhale, bring that right knee up into your chest and step it forward. Drop your back knee. Take the arms up, and then we'll do those cactus arms again. Elbows drag down, and pull the elbows toward each other like you're trying to hold a beach ball behind your back. And exhale. Take the hands down the ground. Lift your back knee up. Inhale, stretch it forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, arms to the sides. All right, let's add another one with a little bit of a twist. Take the arms up on the inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your left leg back. Drop your back knee. All right, plant your left hand, turn your right toes out to the right. Bring your right hand to your thigh, roll your right shoulder onto your back, and look over your right shoulder. This left shoulder is going to want to roll in too. So roll the left shoulder onto your back. So you can stay here. If you feel like you're a little bit more flexible right now, you can bend your back knee, reach back and grab the top of the foot, or just reach back. You may not even be able to grab. And then once you get yourself into this open twist, Keep working on rolling that left shoulder onto your back. And see if you can look back toward your foot. So if your neck is still a little bit tight, don't force it, but if you can look over your right shoulder more, that's the direction you want to go. All right, bring your right hand to the ground. Step back. Lift your left leg toward the sky. Open up the hip and bend the knee. So keep your shoulders level. You want your right shoulder to lift up a little bit. So everything's nice and level there. But keep trying to lift your left knee as well and pull your left heel toward your right hip. On your next exhale, lunge your left leg forward, drop your back knee, and then we're going to count a little bit deeper. So maybe put block under your forearms, maybe bring your forearms to the ground. Nice deep breaths. Excuse me. And then right here, number 3. Okay, so from here, just check with your inner left thigh. Your inner left thigh needs to be slightly engaged and slightly pulling into the midline. And you just want to make sure it's not pinching. So if it does feel like it's pinching, turn your left toes out a little bit. But just make sure you feel like your inner left thigh is pulling in, doing a little bit of work. Drag that right knee forward as well. All right, so warm up number 1 for those quads. Go ahead and put that block forward. Lift your back knee up and step forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, right leg back. All right, plant your right hand below your right shoulder. Turn your left toes out to the left. Bring your left hand to your thigh and lift over your left shoulder. So same thing here. This is a fine twist. If you want to add in a little extra, you can try to bend your back knee or just reach back with your left arm. Keep the shoulders rolling onto your back. And someday you might grab your foot. All right, plant your hand and step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. Open up the hip, bend the knee. Again, shoulder should stay level, so get a little bit of a lift of that left armpit. And you're trying to get your outer right glute muscles to feel like they're doing some work. So the more you can lift that right knee, the better. All right, exhale. Bring it forward, right leg. And then come to the block or the ground. See if you can go just a little bit deeper. Start working through the groin and the thighs a little bit more. Again, avoid pinching in your inner right hip. Squeeze the inner right leg in, but if you need to turn your toes out a little bit to avoid the pinching, do that. All right, and then slowly, let's come out of this one too. Step your left leg forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, arms to the sides. Okay, one more sun salutation. Take the arms up on the inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your left leg back. Drop your back knee. Interlace your fingers behind your back. So you're going to go for palms separated. Fingers are interlaced, but you're going to kind of pull the fingers away from each other. Open up your heart. And take the hands down the ground. Step back. Lift your left leg toward the sky. And then From here, we're gonna come into a high lunge. Bring your left knee up into your chest, step your left leg forward, and come into a high lunge. So this is where the grounding is really important. Let the hips drop. Drag your feet to the midline. Zip up the low belly a little bit. We're going to do a twist, but we're not necessarily trying to get the right elbow to the outside of the left leg. If it gets there, that's fine, but the twisting part's more important. So bring your hands down into your heart center. Pull the belly in, fold forward, and then twist. So you're pretty high here. You're not anywhere close to the leg. Twist first, and then pull the belly in, scoop it in a little bit, and then see if you can get your right elbow near your outer left knee. If you're not there, it's okay. But try to do the twist before you actually get to the knee. All right, bring your hands down to the ground or down to blocks, and then you're going to step forward into your left leg. So warrior three, right leg is roughly parallel to the ground. Again, think about this as grounding. So what is happening with that left leg? If you feel any tugging behind the left knee, bend the left knee a little bit. What we're doing is we're just kind of slowly moving toward standing splits, but we're not quite ready for standing splits yet. So you're going wherever you can go, just feeling the back of that left leg, getting a little bit more work in it. All right, bring that right leg in. And then fold. Grab your elbows and hang and press those forearms toward the ground. Zip up your low belly. All right, inhale, bend the knees, come up with a flat back, all the way up. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, stretch forward, exhale, step your right leg back, drop your back knee. Interlace your fingers, go for the other thumb and first finger on top, so non-dominant grip. And then palms of the hands can separate. Drop your shoulders, drop your fists, and then kind of pull the palms of the hands away from each other and look up. Pull the front ribs in, zip up the low belly. Don't forget to breathe. All right, hands down to the ground. Step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. We're going to come into that high lunge. So look up at the hands, bring that right knee in and step it forward, and then come into your high lunge. All right, so we're going for the twist, but the twist may just sort of be in midair. Pull the front ribs in, lift the back thigh, drag your feet toward each other, bring your hands together, fold about halfway, so about 45-degree angle, and then twist. And that might be it, just kind of hanging out here and twisting. If you feel really comfortable about taking that left elbow down, go for it. And then maybe look over your right shoulder. All right, so if the blocks are there in front of you, this can be really helpful. We're coming into sort of a hybrid of warrior three and standing splits at some point. So don't think standing splits now, just think, well, shoot, if my warrior three is feeling really good, maybe I'll bring my hands to the ground, but just see where your body will take you. Mostly, you want to push down through this right leg and really ground down through the right leg. All right, and then come on up to standing. And take a moment and bring your hands down to your sides. Breathe. So this is mountain pose, Tadasana. one of the big grounding poses. See how everything feels. All right, take the arms up on the inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step back. Press forward, lift your chin, and then lower down all the way to the ground. Roll your shoulders onto your back, stretch out your legs, walk your hands back in line with your chest. And then press lightly into the ground so you can lift your chest up, maybe pull your front ribs in, see if you can get your belly up a little bit. So a little bitty cobra. Press your toenails into the ground. And then lift your hands off the ground. All right, plant the hands, roll the shoulders onto your back again. Push back to child's pose. And then do that thing with your hands where your fingertips are on the ground and the palms of your hands are lifted like little tents. Push into the ground. All right, let's go for a downward dog. So spread your fingers out, find your downward dog, and then bend your right leg and try to get your left heel to come to the ground. Then we're going to get into that left hip a tiny bit more. So keep bending that right leg, that right foot. Your right heel is up. You're on the ball of your right foot. Turn your left heel out toward the back edge of your mat, back corner of your mat, and turn your left toes in toward the midline or toward your right foot. So you're just slightly changing it, and it might change how the outside of your hip feels. Pull the front ribs in, relax your neck. Let's go back to the center. So both sets of toes are pointing forward now. Now you're going to bend your left leg and see if you can get your right heel to the ground. So left foot's not going to change. You still got that left heel high. And then you're going to turn your right heel toward the back corner of your mat and turn your right toes in. And see if you can still drop that right heel. Relax your neck. All right, look up, inhale, step forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take it to the sky. And exhale, arms to the sides. All right, bring your hands to your hips, step back with your right foot. And we're going to go for Prasarita Padottanasana. So your feet are going to be pointing the same direction, outer edges of the feet parallel to the short edges of the mat. Take the hands to the hips. Lift the heart on the inhale, and then exhale, forward bend. So at first, keep the hands on the hips. You're going to squeeze the elbows toward each other. Chin is up, so pull the chin out of your chest. Make sure your weight is in the inner heels as well as the outer heels. And then if you feel like you're sinking into your back heels, pull your weight into your front heels. So in a perfect world, your weight is in inner heel, outer heel, and front heel, and not so much in the back heels. And then if you feel any tugging behind the knees, put a little softness in the knees, micro-bend them. Pretend you're squeezing a block between your thighs. All right, bend the knees. Inhale, come on up. Now you're going to turn your toes out. So toes are pointing out. The trick to this one is when you come into your squat here, your knees tend to roll in. You want your knees to line up with your middle toes. So it does help to bring your hands to your thighs and actually grab your thigh muscles and roll them back. So grab your quads, roll them back a little bit. That'll give you a little bit more inner thigh stretch, and it'll keep those knees from hanging out too far to the inside. So you can lean forward at first, and this does help with balance, and it also helps with just opening up the inner thighs and the hips. At some point, as you get more control over these inner thighs and getting the knees to line up with the middle toes, then you want to come up a lot more straight, a lot taller. So figure out where you need to be, but leaning forward is not bad. And we're gonna do a little bit more for the quads here. So you're gonna take the arms up on the inhale. And again, you can still lean forward a little bit. Now see if you can lift your heels up. Make sure your breaths are big. All right, drop the heels, inhale, come on up. Bring your hands to your hips, turn your toes forward again. Lift your heart on the inhale, and then exhale, forward bend. This time you're gonna try to grab your shins or your toes. And if you're just feeling really tight today, maybe you're up a lot higher, maybe you're on the quads. So again, weight is in the front heels, inner heels, outer heels. Squeeze an imaginary block between your legs. Roll your shoulders onto your back. All right, bend the knees. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, come on up. Turn your right toes toward the short end of your mat. Take the arms out to the sides. Big inhale. Reach through the right hand side, so your right hip's gonna dip a little bit. And then bring that right hand down to your leg somewhere. Take that left arm toward the sky and look up toward your left shoulder. Lengthen through your right side. Imagine that your top arm is lifting your right side up toward the sky. And you want a little bit of a curve in the low back, so stick out your tailbone a little bit. Keep pushing down through your back heel. And you can play a little bit with the core here and just test it out. Like maybe make your right hand a little bit lighter on the right leg, and maybe eventually take that right arm up. All right, hands to the hips. Inhale, come on up. Turn your right toes in. Turn your left toes toward the other short end of your mat. Take the arms out to the sides. Big inhale. Dip that left hip a little bit. Reach through the left-hand side. Bring that left hand down lightly to your left leg. Stick your tailbone out. Zip up your belly. Gently twist your ribs toward the ceiling. Push down through your back heel and through the ball of your front foot. Squeeze to the midline. And then you can play a little bit more with your core strength by maybe taking that left arm up. All right, hands to the hips. Inhale, come on up. Turn your left toes forward. One more forward bend. Lift your heart on the inhale. Let's add in shoulders this time. Interlace your fingers. Go for the non-dominant grip. Lift your heart on the inhale, and then exhale, forward bend. So the trick here is your neck. Lift your chin out of your chest. Draw the shoulder blades together. Then draw the shoulder blades down the back without dropping your chin. And then maybe lift the arms up a little bit. All right, bend the knees. Inhale, come on up. Hands to the hips, toe heel in. Step up to the front of your mat. All right, so we actually did this yesterday, and we're going to try this again. We're going to go for a dancer pose and then try to turn it into Ardha Chandra Chapasana, so half moon pose. So do your best. So you're going to grab your right foot with your left hand, with your right hand. Stretch your right knee toward the ground. If you need to use a strap for that right foot, that's fine. Zip up your low belly. Take your left arm up. So first we're going to go into warrior or dancer, and then we'll get into dancer with kind of a warrior hinge of the hip. So you're going to grab the inside of your right foot, lift your spine, and push your right foot into your right hand. Now if this is too much, stick with this posture here because the quads loosening up on the front of the thigh is actually the most important part of this posture. So push into it if you want to. Now you're going to hinge the hips, which is a little bit different than the way we normally do dancer. You try to hinge, and then you're going to try to grab that block. Easier said than done. So see if you can get your left hand to your block, And then you're gonna open up as if you're doing half moon. So if you can't keep grabbing the foot, go for a half moon. You're just changing the positioning of your hip here. Otherwise, grab that foot behind your back. I'll do this on the other side as well so you can see what it looks like from behind. So a lot of inner thigh here. Don't worry if you get wobbly or fall. It's just part of trying to transition weight around in the hips. All right, and then let that go. You can drop down to warrior two if you want to. Let's go for the other side. Okay, so right foot, find the ground and kind of grab at it. Take your left hand to your left foot. Use your strap if you can't quite grab. Take the right arm toward the sky. Zip up the belly, stretch your left knee toward the ground. Keep in mind that if that lifting, that pressing back part of the leg isn't going to happen for you, that's okay. You keep that knee and that foot in a little bit closer. So lift the spine. Go for your half moon. So your half moon, your dancer. So you're going to grab the inside of the foot possibly. It's an option. But then you're going to hinge at the hips. And bending that standing leg is a really great idea. It keeps you a little bit more stable. And then see if you can get your right hand to your block. Easier said than done. See what happens. Again, your foot can also be in here. So if you're not feeling the full dancer, don't feel like you have to go there. But now let's try to open up the hips. So you're going to try to stack your left hip on top of your right hip. Don't forget to breathe. All right, and then let that go. And take a moment, come to warrior two. And then step up to the front of your mat. Nice job. Okay, next one. So we're going to come into eagle pose. Eagle pose, your block might be on the outside of your left foot, so I'll just change my position here so you can see what's going on. Left foot on the ground, block to the outside of the left foot, and then there are a lot of different variations of the legs here, just depending on your flexibility. So you're going to bend your standing leg, take your right leg up as high as you can over that bent standing leg, and then either put your foot on the block or bring it in towards your calf, or you might be able to wrap it all the way around. And then arms. So from here, right leg is over, which means right arm is under. Bring the backs of the hands together or the palms of the hands. Bring the elbows up to about chin level at first. Drop your shoulders though. And then see if you can start slowly dragging everything down and maybe get the elbows a little bit closer to your knees. Inner thighs are going to soften back toward the groin. Knees are going to gently push against each other. Keep dragging those shoulders down. Nice. All right, come on out of it, and let's go for the other side. So block is going to go to the outside of your right foot this time. I'm going to change my position so you can just see it from a different angle. Bend the right leg. Take that left leg up as high as you can over the right leg. Bring that foot to maybe the block, maybe to the calf. Maybe it comes around. One side's always harder than the other, especially that left hip. Arms out to the sides, left elbow underneath. Do your best. Drop your elbows. So actually start with your elbows up at about chin level. Drop your shoulders. Keep dropping your shoulders, and then start dragging your elbows down. Everybody feels this in a different place. Some people it's inner thighs, some people it's outer hips. It's up to you. Take about 2 more big breaths. All right, let's go for the ground. Take the arms up on the inhale and look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your left leg back. All right, let's get a little bit more into this outer hip, so we're gonna do another twist. So take your left arm up, stretch over to your right. So you feel that nice lengthening happening through the left side. Look up towards your left hand. You can play with this a little bit. So if you want, you can drop your hips a little bit more and then see if you can reach down and touch the ground with your right fingers. All right, let's try for the twist here. So take that left arm to the outside of your right leg. Lift your belly and rib cage up and twist a little bit more to the right, and then bring the hands together. And then open up your chest. Flip your back toes over, lengthen your heart forward, and then possibly at least try to push into the ball of your back foot so your left knee's not digging into the ground. Eventually, left leg will go straighter, but it doesn't have to do that right away. You just want to make sure that you're trying to get it a little bit straighter. And then maybe look over the right shoulder. You have options. You can also extend your arms out if you feel like you've got a pretty deep twist. Don't forget to breathe. All right, hands down to the ground. Step back to downward dog. Walk it out a little bit. Let's go for the other side. Lunge your left leg forward. Drop your back knee. Take the arms up. So again, front ribs will pull in, low belly zips up. Lift and stretch over to your left-hand side. And then if you want to go a little deeper into the stretch, you can drop your hips a little bit and see if you can touch the ground with your left fingers. All right, let's go for the twist. So right arm to the outside of the left leg, lift your rib cage up, twist it a little bit more to the left. Bring your hands together, try to get your hands in your heart center area instead of off at the left side of your chest here. Open up your heart, open up your chest, reach your collarbones forward and your head forward, and then maybe lift that back knee up. And it doesn't have to go all the way up. Look over the shoulder. If you're in a deep twist, right arm to the outside of the left leg. All right, hands down to the ground. Step back to down dog, and then turn that into a child's pose. Knees wide, push back. Take some big, deep breaths. Okay, so we're gonna go into a side plank, and that posture where we grabbed our foot, went into dancer, and then went to the side, we might try that in side plank. So side plank first, and then if your side plank is feeling kind of weak, stick with your side plank. You can do side plank on your forearm or your hand. So from here, come to your forearms, or come to your hands. You can swing that left hand in if you're on your forearms, and then you're gonna come into a plank. So again, forearm plank or hand plank. Come onto your left side here. Take your right arm toward the sky. And then see if you can bend your right knee and grab your right foot. My left foot is starting to get kind of flat on the ground, and just see what happens. So this is all about grounding, right? This may be really awkward, but do your best. And it's okay if you fall. All right, let that go. Child's pose. Take a moment, find your breath. So if you have tight quads or bad knees and you're like, are you kidding me? I am just not going to grab that foot. That's okay. You can still bend the leg, right? So try the other side. Again, come onto your forearms or onto your hands, and we're going to go for the right side now. So right hand or right forearm. Come onto the pinky edge of your right foot. Take your left arm toward the sky. And it may just be that you bend your leg, right? So try your best to see where you can go. One side's going to be a little bit more shaky than the other. And child's pose. Come back. Rest. All right. Lunge your right leg forward. Bring your arms down to the inside of your right leg. So you might want to use your block and put your forearms on a block. And think of the grounding aspect of this. So let your hips grow heavy. Pull to the midline. Drag your left knee and your right heel toward each other. But let the hips sink. Check in with this hip. If you're feeling pinching, turn your toes out a little bit. All right, now we're going to go into the hamstrings a little bit more. So you will probably want both blocks. So walk your blocks back. At first, your left hip is over your left knee, and then you're going to flex your right toes back toward you. Drag your right heel against the mat toward you, and then turn your toes in a little bit, and then turn your toes out a little bit. And just notice where you're tight, and you may still be a little bit tight through the outer IT band, outer hip area. We'll fix that. But just notice where you're tight here. All right, we're going to attempt something that looks like the splits. Not really concerned about actual goals here. I just want to make sure that you're getting a stretch in both legs. So slide forward a little bit with your right leg, and then walk that left foot back a little bit. What we're going for is, do you feel a stretch in your quads of your back leg and the hamstrings of your front leg? So if you're here and you're like, yep, sure do, then just stay here and breathe. And you can even kind of drag to the midline and try to even everything up. So maybe try to get your toes and kneecap pointing up. Same thing on the back leg. That kneecap tends to kind of swing out to the left a little bit or turn out to the left. So see if you can get your kneecap down. And then see if you can just maybe add another inch between your legs. So you're trying to resist this. It's not like you're trying to slide into the splits like a cheerleader or anything. You're actually trying to move into the splits, but with restraint. So whatever the splits is for you, whether you're 3 feet off the ground or whether you're an inch off the ground, you're still trying to resist going into it. So breathe deeply, zip up the belly, pull the front ribs in, and as long as you're getting a stretch in both legs, you're in a perfect place. We're working on the psoas here. Obviously, a lot of other muscles as well, but that's a really, and what ends up happening is you come out of this posture and you feel really relaxed after the posture, not during the posture. It's not just the psoas, there's some vagus nerve, there's a lot of stuff going on here. All right, slowly come out of this. Let's do a child's pose first. Just get everything nice and evened out. Anytime you do an asymmetrical posture, it's a really good idea to do symmetrical posture. Make sure your SI joint is in a happy place. So breathe deeply in child's pose. All right, let's go for the other side. So you're going to lunge your left leg forward now. And forearms are going to come to a block or to the ground. Your choice. Don't force anything. Breathe deeply. Again, if you feel any pinching in your inner hip, turn your toes out a little bit. Drag your right knee and your left heel toward each other. Pull to the midline, but let the hips grow heavy. All right, bring that weight back and use your blocks. Drag your left heel back towards you a little bit. And maybe a bit of a forward bend, so you're just trying to hinge at the hips. Turn the toes in as you drag your heel back. Turn your toes out as you drag your heel back. Just see where you need a little bit more attention. And you'll figure it out. So for me, it's my outer hamstring. As I turn my toes out, that's when I feel it the most. So just play with it. Not everybody is built the same way. All right, now start sliding into something that sort of resembles the splits. And again, you're just trying to get both legs in there. So slide your left heel forward, but resist by pushing your heel into the mat. And then just a little bit, kind of inch that right foot back a little bit. So you're starting to feel the quadriceps. If this feels pretty intense, hang out here. Don't go any deeper. Breathe deeply. Let your hips drop. So you're resisting with your feet. And often when I teach this in class, sometimes I have this with partners or we have it against the wall, and you're pushing against a wall or pushing against your partner so that you're trying to keep those legs in the hip sockets and really resist this posture. So keep pushing your heel against the ground in front of you. Keep pressing the ball of your back foot into the ground so you're not letting yourself slide into this too easily. Try to keep your left kneecap pointing up and even pay attention to your right kneecap. It tends to kind of roll out to the right, so see if you can stay on the top or the outside of your right kneecap. So you're internally rotating your back leg as best you can. Don't forget deep breaths. And again, we're not going for the splits. If you can do it, that's fine. But what I find is most people who can do the splits really easily really need to work on their alignment and try to keep everything squared up. All right, unwind, come out of this one. Child's pose, take a moment and just rest and get that SI joint into a nice even place. Breathe deeply. Notice how good you feel right now coming out of the splits. All right, now let's go for pigeon. So pigeon, well, let's do pigeon and then we'll do a little bit of inner thigh. So pigeon on your back or pigeon on your front. So I'll walk you through it. Right leg forward, then walk that right foot over toward the left hip. If you're really flexible, the left hand where your shin's more parallel. But for most people, it's over by the hip, a little bit farther back here. And then I like this variation. If you're on your front side, I like the variation where you place your forehead on your block. So your pituitary gland is between your eyes, where that third eye spot is, between your eyes and nose. And when you place your forehead on your block right there, it actually releases some oxytocin, which is really a lovely feeling. So it's mellow. It's not super exciting, but it feels really good. So this is your pigeon. If you're kind of new to pigeon, your right knee should be outside your right shoulder. Foot can be up higher if you're more flexible, closer to your hip if you're not so flexible. And then if you're on your back, this is a great way to do pigeon as well. Always consider this an option. Cross that right ankle just below the left knee on the thigh. Bring it in. Right arm goes through the gap in your legs. You're going to grab the back of your thigh or the front of your shin. So this is a fantastic option. Both good. Both variations of pigeon, whether you're prostrate or supine, you want to make sure there's a little bit of curve in the low back. So pay attention to that. And when you're on your back, it's a little bit easier to sort of find it because you can rock around a little bit and keep trying to roll the tailbone toward the ground and get a bubble of air under your low back. If you're on your front side, you're really working, gravity's pulling you down in a slightly different way. So you have to kind of work your tailbone toward the ceiling. But in general, most people have a little bit of a curve there if they're in a pigeon. So try to roll the tailbone toward the ceiling, just be a little bit more intentional about it. Figure out which one you want to hang out in for a while. Breathe deeply. Engage your left leg. So you're opening up the right hip. That left leg should be slightly engaged and resisting the posture a bit. So you're tightening up your left thigh if you're on the front side. you're resisting your hands if you're on your backside. All right, I like the variation when we go into a twist that gets you into your hip a little bit more. So if you're on your front side, bring your left forearm or left shoulder to the ground, lengthen your spine and twist so you can just get a little bit more into that right hip. If you're on your back, you have a couple variations here. You can just drop your right foot over to the left side. So it's a gentle twist, still really fantastic. But if you want to make it a little bit less easy, you can get your legs a little bit closer together, try to get your right foot behind your left in eagle, and see if you can drop your knees to the ground. Pay attention to your back. Make sure there's a little bit of a curve there in your low back. All right, come on out of this posture. Let's go for the other side. So cross your left ankle just below your right knee on the thigh if you're on your back. Grab the back of your thigh or the front of your shin. Roll your tailbone toward the ground. Get a little bubble of air under your low back. You can also slowly rock from side to side. Figure out which parts of your hips need to loosen up a little bit more. If you're on your front side, again, just make sure that left knee is a little bit wider than your left shoulder. And then resist with your right quadricep so your knee doesn't dig into the ground. You can also place that block under your head. Make sure your breaths are big. All right, let's add in the twist. So right forearm will come in front, left hand out to the side, lengthen your spine and twist. You can also go a little deeper and get your shoulder to the ground. Look over that shoulder. And then that same positioning with the left leg, you have a couple different options here too. So you can just drop that left foot to the ground, which is great. Very simple twist, really great though. That's the beautiful thing about twists, is they don't have to be super deep to just really do a lot of good things for your digestive system, your endocrine system, your lymphatic system. But if you want to go deeper, you can. So you can wrap that foot around more and drop your knees more. Wherever you are, stick your tailbone out. Make sure there's a little bit of a curve in your low back. All right, slowly come out of this. Do a down dog if you're on your front side. If you're on your back side, go for a happy baby dead bug. All right, inner thighs. So we're going to come up to a seated posture. And you're going to take your blocks here. And you're going to put your blocks to the inside of your legs. So you've got a nice wide stance here. You don't have to be super wide. And then what we're going to do is use a little bit of belly. So blocks here. And then we're gonna go for a little bit of belly and inner thigh work here. So you're gonna lean back slightly. The spine is really long. You're just kind of leaning back and pushing into your fingertips or into the ridges of your hands. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna lift your legs up and bring them over the blocks and bring them to the center. And if it feels like that's just too much work, like maybe it's kind of sneaking into your low back, do one leg at a time. So you go one leg at a time over the block, under the, one side, the other side, over the block. And then you can go over the block like this. If it doesn't sneak into your back, try to do this with both legs. So you're still getting core strengthening with one leg, but this is where you want to get to eventually is legs in, legs up, legs out, legs up, legs over. And you can lean back as much as you need to. Not a big deal. Just make sure your back doesn't collapse. So that's the important part. So it's kind of like, keep going, but it's kind of like when you're in the boat, you want to make sure you don't collapse in your boat, right? So keep that middle back and low back nice and long. Keep lifting your chest and just lift and lift. And you can have a little bit of a bend in the legs if you need to. Lift and lift, because sometimes it sneaks into your psoas at the front of your hips. So we want a little bit of psoas strengthening, but we don't want to feel like it's all psoas. Do like 3 or 4 more. All right, now bottoms of the feet together. Open up the feet like a little book. You're gonna bring your forehead towards your toes. So we're really just trying to stretch out the fascia of your back. So round your back, chin into your chest, forehead toward the toes, and then swing slightly from side to side. All right, we're gonna go for a back bend. This is the most difficult back bend there is, but you don't have to make it super hard for yourself. So the most important thing is the inner thighs really are key here. So you're gonna use both blocks. I'm gonna turn away from you so you can see where the blocks go. So actually I'll use purple so you can see better. So from here, you're gonna put a block lengthwise between your ankles. So I like putting the tops of my feet on the ground. Some people like the balls of the feet on the ground. You're just gonna have to figure out which one works best for you. The next block is gonna go to medium, and you're gonna squeeze it between your inner thighs at that medium. So I'm squeezing my ankles into the blocks at the longest length and squeezing my inner thighs into the block at its medium length, medium width. Then I'm gonna take my hands to my hips, just above my hips. I'm gonna push down. Lift my heart up toward the sky, zip up the belly, and then look up toward the ceiling. So the important thing here is that your low belly pulls in, your heart lifts. You're actually trying to keep this part of your body from mid-rib cage to hips pretty straight. So belly pulls in, ribs pull in. And then eventually you can look back toward the wall behind you, like where the ceiling and the wall meet. I'm still trying to keep my tailbone down and my front hip creases up. Nice big breath here. And then eventually I might want to just play with this, like, can I reach down and touch my heel? Oh, maybe I can. Can I reach down and touch the other heel? Maybe I can. Keep squeezing into the blocks wherever you are. So I'll demonstrate from another side, but take a moment and actually take a break. So come out of it and just sit down on your block. Again, what we're trying to do is keep the middle from the bottom of the ribs down. We're trying to keep that really super straight and try to get your bend happening in your upper back here. So that's where those inner thighs really are super important. We're going to do this 2 more times. We're going to do slightly different variations of each. So you're squeezing your block with your inner thighs. You're squeezing your other block with your ankles. Bring your hands to your hips. This time, no back bend at all. You're going to keep everything super stick straight from the knees to the shoulders, but you're going to have that stick go straight back. So hands on the hips, and I'm just going to lean back, but I'm not trying to do any back bend. I'm trying to get these quads to get fired up here. And the better you get at this, the better your back bends go. Keep squeezing into the midline. All right, come on up, go ahead and sit down. Take a breather. We're gonna do this one more time. This time you're gonna try to have that same burning sensation in the quads, and you're gonna try to lift your chest and try to get your back bend to happen in your upper chest and upper back. So really try to pull the ribs in and keep that low belly sucked in and try to keep everything super straight from the low ribs down. So squeeze into the midline again. Bring your hands to your hips. Open up your chest and pretend you've got a string coming up out of your chest like you're a puppet. So lift, 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 lift through this chest. Imagine you've got a spike coming up through your shoulder blades. Maybe something not as painful as a spike, but something lifting through your shoulder blades up towards your chest. So the lift is happening through your upper back, through the back of your back, up through your chest toward the sky, through the collarbones up toward the sky. Keep lifting and then lean back a little bit so those quads are doing some work, and then possibly one hand or two hands reach back. So the shoulders may be an issue here. We did a lot of shoulder opening, but they may still be a little tight. Keep lifting your chest, lifting up through your back, up through your chest. All right, come on up and sink down just in case you get a little bit stuck in that low back. All right, so that is always hard. So move your blocks, go for a child's pose. We're going to slightly change up our child's pose. So you're going to walk your hands over to the right side and then lift your belly up and see if you can place your belly on your right thigh. And just hang on here and stretch out in a twisted child's pose. All right, come back to the center. And then you're going to walk over to the left side, lift your belly up so you can get your belly or rib cage on your left thigh, and find your child's pose there. You may want to be on the tips of your fingertips. All right. So forearm balance or handstand, your choice. Just depends on how your hands feel. I've tried to stay off the hands for a little while, so handstand should feel okay, but if you've got wrists that just really feel things for ages, then come to your forearms. So if you want to use a wall is a great idea. And you want to, if you're going for a handstand, you want to be about legs distance away from the wall. So I'm sitting up against the wall, and then my legs are straight, and essentially I want to put my hands where my feet are, roughly. You have a couple inches to work with. So hands are going to go right where feet are, and then I'll do my handstand. So hands are going to come down, drop the shoulders, get that chest down between the shoulders, roll the shoulders onto your back, see if you can squeeze your shoulder blades together, and then come up into something that kind of looks like a down dog, but your shoulders are over your wrists. And then you'll take one foot up roughly at about hip level and push. The other leg will just start following if everything's working for you. And then you're going to hang out here, and then eventually maybe take a leg up someday. So it's the same premise for forearm balance. You want to start about the same distance away from the ground or the wall. And you'll put, at first, a block between your hands. So I have my thumbs on one side of the blocks, and then the fingers on the other side of the blocks. So I'm coming around that corner. And then same thing, look up at the ground, make sure there's a chin lift, foot comes to the wall, and the other foot comes to the wall eventually, and then you'll eventually straighten your legs. So if you tend to get tight shoulders a lot, I love forearm balance. It's a really great variation for helping you with all that tightness that happens from sitting in a chair all day, because you have to use your back muscles. So it's really my go-to on just about everything. But handstands are fun. So play with it. Take breaks if you need to. Another thing I was teaching before we had to go online is to pull your knee into your chest. So let's say you're not really getting your legs up too much, even if you are up against the wall and getting into a pretty decent, inversion. You can also do this with no inversion at all. So not a full-blown inversion. So you can come into dolphin pose and take a leg up. So somewhat inverted, using all those same muscles. And then you can pull your knee into your chest. So I even practice this when I'm doing handstands, is just pull a knee into my chest and pull a knee into my chest. And when you do that, you'll feel back muscles and belly muscles working at the same time. And that's a great way to strengthen the core from both sides as well. So don't feel like you have to get up against the wall if you're feeling weak in the shoulders or weak in the hands. Forearm balance can be achieved just from doing that dolphin. All right, so we are ready to chill out. So go ahead and find a lying down posture. We're gonna do a little twist. Hug your right knee into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Take your right arm out to the side and bring your right leg across the body to the left and stick your tailbone out. Look over your right shoulder. All right, come back to the center. Bring your left knee into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Take your left arm out to the side. Look over the left shoulder. And bring your left knee across the body. Look over the left shoulder, left knee down. Stick your tailbone out, which is a little bit of a curve in the low back. All right. And then from here, you may want to place a block under your hips, super close to the tailbone. This is a great one if you're feeling any low back tenderness, and usually that has a lot to do with your SI joint. So this is a great way to ground your SI joint, just in case it's gotten moved slightly within the hips. This is a lovely way to make it level out again. If you would prefer Shavasana, that is a fine idea as well. Or if you want to get one last inversion in, you can go a little lower on the block and take your legs up. So if you need to get up and go immediately, then go ahead and wiggle fingers and toes, and roll wrists and ankles, and take a couple nice big stretches. And then slowly come up to a seated posture. If you don't need to go immediately, I encourage you to stay here for another 5 or 10 minutes and just relax. You may want to relax more into a Shavasana if you're not already there. If you would like to follow along, whether it's mentally or physically, bring your hands into your heart center. Take a moment to think about being grounded. And bring your hands up to your forehead for kind thoughts, down to your lips for kind words, and down to your heart center for kind intentions. And sending some peace out into the world and to yourself. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.